All right. Diving into today's material, I have to admit, when I first saw the topic was idioms, I thought, oh boy, we were in for a pretty straightforward deep dive. But the more I look at these sources you've sent over, the more I'm realizing there's a lot more to unpack here than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right.
So set the stage for us.
Okay.
Why are idioms so important? What makes them more than just quirky sayings?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
Language isn't just about conveying literal meaning. It's also about shared understanding, cultural context, and building connections. Idioms are like little cultural capsules packed with history, humor, and shared experiences.
I like the cultural capsules.
Yeah.
So using them correctly signals that you're not just fluent in the language, but also in the culture itself.
Exactly. It shows you're in the know, that you understand those subtle layers of meaning that go beyond the dictionary definitions.
It's almost like a secret handshake, right?
Yeah.
Like you're signaling to other English speakers that you're part of the in-group.
That's a great analogy. And the thing is, you've probably already encountered tons of idioms without even realizing it.
Really?
They're woven into everyday conversations, books, movies, songs. They're everywhere.
Okay, so let's pull some examples from the listener's material. And honestly, I'm already chuckling at some of these.
Yeah.
Like cost an arm and a leg.
Uh-huh.
I mean, hopefully that's never literally happened to anyone.
Let's hope not. But that's what makes idioms so expressive.
Right.
They paint these vivid, often humorous pictures to get the point across.
So in this case, cost an arm and a leg really emphasizes how expensive something is.
Exactly. It's a much more impactful way of saying, wow, that's really pricey.
All right, here's one I bet we've all heard. Break the ice. I'm picturing that awkward silence at a party and someone cracks a joke to ease the tension.
That's a classic example.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is how it reflects social customs in English-speaking cultures.
Okay.
The idiom emphasizes the importance of easing into social situations, warming things up, rather than being overly direct.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're acknowledging that initial awkwardness and creating a more comfortable space for conversation.
Right. And you can see how that cultural nuance might not translate directly into other languages.
Okay, let's move on to hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
I always picture a carpenter doing some precise work,
Yeah.
getting it perfectly right.
It's a great image, and that's exactly what the idiom means, to be completely accurate, to hit the bullseye of an argument or explanation.
So if someone explains something
Yeah.
perfectly, you might say, you hit the nail on the head.
Precisely. It's a much more colorful and emphatic way of saying you're right.
And speaking of colorful, this next one always cracks me up. Let the cat out of the bag. Like, seriously, who's putting cats in bags?
That's the beauty of idioms, isn't it?
Yeah.
They often have these quirky, almost nonsensical origins, but the meaning is clear. To reveal a secret, usually unintentionally.
So you're planning a surprise party, and someone accidentally lets the cat out of the bag by mentioning it to the person you're trying to surprise.
Exactly. And notice how that idiom adds a layer of humor to the situation. It's not just about revealing a secret. It's about doing it in a somewhat comical, clumsy way.
Okay, this next one feels pretty self-explanatory. Under the weather. I feel like I've used this one a lot, especially during cold and flu season.
It's a common one, and it generally means feeling unwell or slightly sick.
But I think it also has a connotation of not being seriously ill.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't say you're under the weather if you had a broken leg.
You're right. It often implies a mild temporary ailment. And it's a great example of how idioms can add a touch of informality to your language.
Right.
It's a softer way of saying, I'm not feeling well.
Okay, last one from this batch, spill the beans. Now, this one seems pretty similar to let the cat out of the bag. Is there a difference?
They're definitely related, both dealing with revealing information, but spill the beans can be broader. It can refer to sharing any kind of secret or gossip, not necessarily a major revelation.
So it's like, come and spill the beans. What happened at the party last night?
Exactly. It's that sense of wanting to hear the juicy details.
Yeah.
And while both idioms are informal, spill the beans might be even more casual than let the cat out of the bag.
Interesting.
It's all about those subtle nuances of context.
Which brings up a good point.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the meanings of these idioms, but how important is context when you're actually using them?
Context is absolutely crucial. You wouldn't use spill the beans in a formal business meeting, for example.
Right. It would sound totally out of place.
Exactly. So it's not just about knowing the definition of an idiom, it's about understanding the appropriate situations and social settings where it can be used effectively.
So how do you suggest someone actually start learning and using idioms effectively? Should they just try to memorize a whole dictionary of them?
That's a great question and one we'll dive into next. The good news is you don't need to memorize every idiom under the sun to start sounding more natural and fluent.
So we've established that context is key when it comes to using idioms.
Right.
But where do you even begin? I mean, the listener sent over a ton of examples.
Yeah.
It could feel overwhelming.
It definitely can, but I think the key is to approach it less like studying and more like exploration.
Okay.
Don't try to memorize every idiom at once. Start with a few that resonate with you, that feel fun to say.
So instead of cramming a bunch of definitions, maybe focus on the ones you encounter in real life. Like if you hear spill the beans in a movie, take a moment to really understand how it's being used and why it works in that situation.
Exactly. Pay attention to how native speakers use idioms in natural conversation.
Okay.
Notice the situations they use them and the tone of voice, the reactions they get. That's where the real learning happens.
It's like you wouldn't just memorize the word hammer in isolation.
Right.
You'd see it used for building, for fixing things.
Precisely. You need to see idioms in action to truly grasp their meaning and how they fit into the flow of conversation.
You know, the source material also mentions something about the origins of idioms. I have to admit, I'm kind of fascinated by where some of these phrases came from.
Yeah.
Like, let the cat out of the bag. Where on earth did that come from?
Well, there are a couple of theories about that one. One suggests that it originated in marketplaces where piglets were sold in bags.
Oh, wow.
Unscrupulous sellers might try to swap a piglet for a less valuable cat.
Oh.
So letting the cat out of the bag exposed their deception.
Wow, that's interesting. So the idiom started as a very literal event.
Right.
And then evolved into this figurative expression we use today.
Exactly. And that's the case with many idioms. They often have roots in history, folklore, or even old professions.
I bet you could do a whole deep dive just on the origins of idioms.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fascinating area to explore. Another example is kick the bucket.
Okay, that one definitely doesn't sound very pleasant.
No, it doesn't. But it's thought to have originated from a rather grim practice. In the past, when someone was being hanged, a bucket might be placed beneath them, which they would kick as they died.
Oh, wow. So these seemingly random phrases we use today are actually carrying centuries of history and meaning within them.
Exactly. And I think understanding that history adds a whole other dimension to appreciating idioms.
You know, it's funny, now that we've been talking about idioms for a while, I'm starting to hear them everywhere. Like my ears are suddenly tuned into them.
That's the power of awareness. Once you start paying attention, you realize just how ingrained these phrases are in our language.
Speaking of awareness, the source material emphasized that it's important to avoid translating idioms literally.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, idioms are deeply tied to the culture and history of a language. Trying to translate them word for word often leads to nonsensical results.
Because the literal meaning doesn't capture the intended meaning at all.
Exactly. It's like trying to explain a joke by breaking down each individual word.
Yeah.
The humor gets lost in translation.
So how do you suggest people approach idioms in other languages?
The best approach is to treat them as completely separate expressions.
Okay.
Learn them in context, understand their cultural significance, and appreciate how they add color and personality to that language.
And maybe even do a little research into their origins.
Yeah.
It seems like there's always more to discover.
Absolutely. It's a journey of linguistic and cultural exploration.
All right, so we've talked about why idioms are important, how to learn them effectively, and the fascinating history behind them.
Right.
But what about actually using them in conversation?
Yeah.
Any tips for our listener on how to incorporate idioms into their everyday speech?
I have to admit, I'm feeling a little more confident about using idioms now, but I also don't want to sound like I'm trying too hard.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that balance between sounding natural and authentic.
So no need to force them into every sentence.
Exactly. The best way to start incorporating idioms is to think of them as spices in your language.
You wouldn't douse your entire meal in hot sauce, right?
Okay, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So use idioms sparingly, which is a sprinkle here and there, to add flavor and depth.
Precisely. Start with a few that feel comfortable and relevant to your everyday conversations.
Okay.
And pay attention to how others use them.
Right.
You'll start to develop a sense of what sounds natural and what might sound forced.
That makes sense. So don't be afraid to experiment. but also be mindful of the context.
Exactly. It's a learning process.
Right.
But it can also be a lot of fun. The more you play with idioms, the more comfortable you'll become using them.
Hey, maybe you'll even invent your own idiom someday.
Yeah.
Okay, probably not. But it's fun to think about.
Anything is possible. But in the meantime, there's a whole world of existing idioms to explore.
Right.
And remember we talked about how idioms are like cultural capsules?
Right. Little windows into a culture's history and humor.
Well, I think it would be fascinating for our listener to consider idioms in other languages.
Oh, yeah. Like, what are some funny or interesting idioms from different cultures? Do other languages have expressions that are similar to kick the bucket or let the cat out of the bag?
And how do those idioms reflect the unique values and experiences of those cultures? It's a way of connecting with the world on a deeper level through language.
So it's not just about sounding like a native speaker. It's about broadening your understanding of different cultures and ways of thinking.
Absolutely. It's a journey of linguistic and cultural discovery.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. I never realized how much depth and richness there is to these seemingly simple phrases.
And hopefully our listener feels the same way.
Right.
Idioms might seem like small details, but they can unlock a whole new level of understanding and appreciation for language.
So to our listener out there, I encourage you to embrace the world of idioms.
Yeah.
Explore their origins, play with their meanings, and don't be afraid to sprinkle them into your conversations.
And most importantly, have fun with it. Language is meant to be enjoyed.
Well said. Until next time, keep those idioms flowing, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.